New for you this morning, a 3-year-old boy has been found after getting lost in the wilderness south of Grant, and he can thank his neighbor for finding him. Gabriel Matas went missing from his home about 30 miles south of Rama yesterday about noon. Investigators say that Gabriel's grandfather was watching the boy outside. Grandfather went inside for just a few minutes. When he came back out, little Gabriel was gone. The family called 911, and more than 100 officers began looking for Gabriel. Then just before midnight, a neighbor ended up finding the little boy in the woods about a mile from his home. Gabriel did go to the hospital just to get checked out. He is doing okay this morning.
The decision will be left up to you, Albuquerque voters. Do you want the city to fork over $50 million to redo the Paseo I-25 interchange? Last night, city councilors chose not to take the issue upon themselves to allocate the money. Instead, voters will decide in November.
I have always had a stance on the fact that it should go to the voters. The voters should decide this.
City councilors did vote to do away with the city's photo ID requirement for this election only, a directive needed in order to have the measure be placed on the general election ballot in November. The group behind the effort trying to raise the minimum wage in Albuquerque is set to meet with the city clerk this morning to iron out an issue with the proposal. The city council was supposed to vote on the minimum wage increase yesterday, but that didn't happen thanks to a typo. Olay, the group that collected the signatures for the proposed wage hike, mixed up some wording when they wrote the proposal.
A controversial conference being held here in Albuquerque starts today. The National Conference of Reformed Sex Offenders is set to meet at the Ramada Inn near I-40 in Eubank. One of the things the group believes is that sex offenders should not be on public registries once they're out of prison. Police say they're going to keep an eye on the event in the area and keep extra officers nearby until it ends on Sunday. A woman who used to be a police officer here in New Mexico will never be allowed to work as a law enforcement officer again, and others are now closer to having that happen to them. The State Law Enforcement Academy Review Board is trying to get through its long list of cops accused of abusing their power. Recently, that board revoked April Sanchez's license. She's the officer from Albuquerque accused of driving drunk and trashing a car. The board is now recommending the same for Matt Kindle, the Albuquerque officer accused of trying to bribe a prostitute for sex.
A woman accused of leading deputies on a dangerous chase through the South Valley is expected to face judge today. Authorities say the chaos began when they spotted Irene Enriquez slumped over behind the wheel along Rio Bravo near 2nd Street yesterday morning. When they tried to wake her up, officers say she took off in the wrong direction, running vehicles off the road. They say Enriquez then got on the interstate the wrong way and came to a stop 5 miles later. Deputies say her boyfriend, who was in the passenger seat, apparently tried eating some marijuana. Both were arrested and both have extensive criminal records. A wanted fugitive is caught right here in Albuquerque. The U.S. Marshals say that Janice Kaus, this 41-year-old woman, was among their most wanted. On Tuesday, they received tips that she was in the northeast part of town. She was arrested without incident. Kaus has a long criminal history, including weapons, arson, drug, and theft charges.
A guy in Durango is doing better this morning after he was riding his bike and hit a bear. The Durango Herald says Orion Olin was riding his bike Friday night near the Durango skate park when he hit a bear and flew over the handlebars. The bear ran off, and after a couple seconds, Olin was able to get up, probably scared, surprised. He got a bit beat up, but he is okay. Doesn't happen every day. And the bear that caused a ruckus in Santa Fe on Monday is back in the mountains near Mount Taylor this morning. Game and Fish nicknamed that bear right here Guadalupe. That's the street that she was hanging out at, really close to the plaza. Took wildlife officers about 3 hours to tranquilize Guadalupe. She hurt her foot while she was gallivanting around town, but she is doing better right now.
Just when you thought it was over, construction is popping up again at a busy Albuquerque intersection.
Yes, it seems that the construction on Academy, just east of Eubank, just got done, but guess what? It is starting again, and a lot of people are not too happy about this. News 13's David Romero is live in the Heights. David, why this second round of construction now?
Well, Matt, the city says the concrete failed inspection. In fact, one of those angry drivers drove by and asked me why they're doing this again. Well, the good news is it won't cost the taxpayers a dime to fix it, but the bad news is the inconvenience of having to make their way through construction again.
Scrape it up, throw it away, and start over. That's the word from the city to contractors who had just finished laying down concrete on Academy east of Eubank after it failed inspection.
concrete typically cracks and you get hairline cracks in there. These cracks actually went through the entire slabs out there, and so we want these replaced. It wouldn't last very long if we left it as such.
This week, traffic was rerouted from the westbound lanes onto the eastbound side of Academy. The jackhammers came out again to break up the faulty concrete, causing stress for drivers and neighbors.
Well, it is a nuisance, and we just got through fixing all the cracks in our house from the last time they did this 2 months ago.
The city ripped up the road in the first place as part of a push to redo intersections that see heavy traffic. That's another reason it's critical to make sure the concrete will hold up and not fail like the last batch.
It could have been the temperature during the day, whether we had wind and so forth. It could have been the material itself, which we didn't find any problems with the normal testing on that. But if we did experience it, we're going to replace it. It is no cost to the taxpayers because it's obviously under warranty.
Now, the actual timetable to get the project finished could still be a couple of weeks away, and this is going to allow the contractor time to come back in and re-groove that new concrete. Matt, back to you.
All right, great information. Thanks for the update, David. Unfortunately, the traffic headaches won't end right there. The city tells us that Academy, just east of where the construction is now, will get repaved soon, probably before winter.